I think it was as a result of the migration of the Jamaican people to this country in the early years. They brought the music with them, vinyl, real.
The music bring life into people. Yeah, the rhythm of the music.
Our way for new music is always through the sound system.
In Coventry, really, it's a black and white. Music brings them together.
From the 50s until now, we were able to penetrate the mainstream, which is a national chart, and to spread our culture throughout UK and Europe.
If you unloaded the wagon with 16 bass boxes, even before anybody had heard anything, you were the man, do you know what I mean? And they wanted to hear your sound.
Don't care how you feel sad, sit in your house and you feel sad. You feel the whole house going to fall on you. If you have a little music in your house, you put on 2 tunes, and you start to play. It hype you up.
When you switch your sound on, the whole place would shake. And you know there's bass because your body, your chest, everything feel it.
From the day I was born, I just love music. I always love music.
In this country, you had like a DJ would have a disco, but in Jamaica, a sound system was like a heavyweight sound system. It was, you needed a lorry to carry all your boxes and amplifiers, and it was a thing where people come and heard the music on a different kind of level. Instead of hearing it on the radio, just playing at a low level, you'd go out and you'd really feel the music when you went to a sound system dance.
Sound system culture is as influential, as important a factor in British music history as the Beatles. We're talking about the West Indian generation, the first generation of migrants who came to Britain. Music is central to that culture. People sing in the morning, sing at night, sing at work, and the rhythm of life is lived through music. So you end up with these beats and rhythms and musical traditions that merge together. So West Indian migrants in the 50s and 60s, travelling to places like Coventry, brought with them this rich musical history which goes way back.
In the 1950s, a new phenomenon was developing in Jamaica. Thomas Wong, known as the Great Sebastian, had developed a large portable amplifier and speaker setup to entertain Jamaicans at block parties and outdoor dances in Kingston. The popularity of the Great Sebastian sound system would quickly draw imitators in the shape of Lloyd the Matador Daly, Clement Coxon Dodd with his downbeat sound system, and Arthur Duke the Trojan Reed. The ensuing competition between the rival sound systems in Jamaica would inspire a new wave of musical styles and subcultures that would reverberate around the globe for the next 5 decades.
58, 59, 60s, it was only the big sound system guys. We didn't have no local, little, small sound system. It was the big guys.
Coxon went to American farm work and he came back and he started the sound business. Duke Reed used to be in selling booze. That's how he started.
When I used to listen to Coxon's and Duke Reed, they used to have 2 dance halls in Kingston, Foresters Hall and Kingsland, facing each other. Coxon would be on one side, Duke Reed would be on side, and 1 million people out in the street, fighting for getting, and it's all rhythm and blues.
Coxon used to go over there and buys the record, and then he brings them back. He scratch out all the labels. So you would know who sings it. You couldn't buy it. There was no up-and-coming local artists. There was no Jamaican music at the time. Few little calypso thing, but all the record was North America.
Duke Reed and Coxon and all them, they used to have sound, but they also used to have studio. So they have certain amount of artists behind them.
They used to make things like dub plates in their own style, so you have the studio one and you have Treasure Isles. Studio one is Sir Coxon and Treasure Isles is Duke Reed. So they used to have they sometimes used to take the same artists and do the same music in a different style and play it against each other.
It's just that they start to do their own thing. So the rhythm and blues dies down.
For many of those involved in each generation of sound systems in Coventry, It was their early experiences of sound systems in Jamaica and England that first inspired them to take up the challenge of designing and building their own collection of bespoke equipment.
I used to enjoy listening to sound coming out of these big, massive boxes, what Duke Reid used to produce, named the House of Joy.
We used to have sound playing down the district below us. We was on the hill, and they have sound playing down there. So we was too young to go to things like that. All we could do is to sit down and listen.
First time I hear sound system, my friend them used to have a sound, and I used to work with them. And from that, I started to enjoy sound system. Yeah, and the song was named Teenager.
We used to go to dances. Them age I wouldn't be able to stop out late, you know what I mean? I'd just go with like the uncle and they'll take me back home.
So it would have to be Mr. Green sound system. It was, that's in St. Catherine. You guarantee like every Monday night we can hear the systems, you know, testing out new material, dancing to people like Derek Morgan and Prince Buster and, you know, those were early ska stuff.
In Jamaica, with the sound systems, they all play outside. So the youngsters are exposed to it anyway. So as kids, you know, you was always exposed to sound system and music in Jamaica.
We didn't have the kind of social infrastructure that we were to develop at a later stage. And consequently, when we had wedding receptions, they were more than likely held in church halls or in school halls. And someone would come along with a mobile sound system and rig it up.
The first sound system I ever heard was Sound City. I was 11 years old, and it was at Sydney Stringer on a Friday.
There was like Quaker City. They were so powerful that when they came in, they had to use ropes to tie their speakers down because, you know, they had so much power. You had Mafia Tone, Duke Neville, King Ali.
And I remember it was a sound called Conquering Lion, who were then, I remember the lyrics, the guy going, Conquering Lion from the tribe of Jude. I mean, what's going on?
Fat Man from London. You know what I mean? Them sound used to think, oh gosh, they sound good, I want to sound like them. Quaker City, Mafia Tone.
Just Shaka sound, Shaka. And they were like a roots dub sound.
Sounds like Jungle Man, sounds like Quaker.
Probably be MACKABEE, Marshall.
Prophecy sound, yeah. Revelation sound.
Revelation sound.
Yeah. They were the sounds that were about at the time.
Jungle Man, God almighty, when I heard the bass in the place, you know what I mean? I thought, wow, what's going on here? And I seen all these boxes and I thought, yeah, this is good.
Jamaicans brought their experience of sound systems with them wherever they settled in the world, including to post-war Britain, where new workers were urgently needed to rebuild the cities decimated during the war. In cities like Coventry and across Britain, the newly arrived Jamaicans brought their love of amplified music and sound system competition to create an unending sonic battle to determine who would emerge as the champion sound.
After a week of working in the car plant and dealing with a racist boss, where do you go at the weekends to feel like you become human again? You go to the club. And that's why in the music, Friday night is always important. Thank God it's Friday. Saturday, it's raving time. And people talk about it in the songs because it was therapeutic. The week is over, the weekend starts, and you can rave and you can actually just become normal again.
Money in my pocket, but I just can't get no love.
For many Jamaicans arriving in Coventry for the first time, it was a cultural shock to find that British licensing laws restricted their enjoyment of life. This and the lack of black music in the mainstream media inspired them to create their own social scenes around sound systems to compensate.
When I first came here and we went to the boozer and they said, yeah, they ring the bell, bling, bling, bling. And time, please, time. At that time, you don't even, if you get there in Jamaica, you don't ready to leave house yet to go to nowhere. And then you have to go back in and go to bed because nothing to do.
Because we weren't being allowed into the mainstream nightclubs, we had to create our own social situations. And in that social situation, The sound system played a key role.
It did bring a lot of people together, but not just within the city, but across the nation. You see, what happened was dance hall in Britain was connected to dance hall in the Caribbean, was connected to dance hall culture in America. So dance hall and the sound system culture became a version of black people in Britain's CNN.
What made sound systems so popular was the lack of airplay on radio, TV.
Sometimes you don't hear reggae music on the radio unless you listen to if you're gonna stay up late and listen to John Peel and play a couple dubs like Burning Spears or Culture.
So what you found was people had to come to you to hear music.
Well, we educated the people. We brought reggae music out to them. Half the time, what you used to hear on the radio wasn't what we were playing.
So what was happening, the sound systems were providing the music that people just couldn't access.
So yeah, there weren't a lot to do in them days, so sound system was more important than ever.
You know, it's not like nowadays where you can go on the internet and search. It was always a sound system. They get the records, they play it.
So weekend after, especially a long day, week at work, you just want to go to somewhere that you could actually let your hair down, and that's where we come into the picture.
They'd play conscious music, level music, talking about love and unity to try and make everybody just bond together, you know what I mean, and make peace.
Made Coventry come alive.
Yeah, it did, and they entertained us, didn't
They
they?
entertained us, kept us.
They did entertain us.
Kept us out of trouble.
For many years.
For many years.
They did.
They used to go crazy. They used to ask, can we play it for them again, and where did they get that on? Because they wouldn't hear them until long after.
You weren't going to hear it on the radio. You weren't going to hear it on TV, so the only time you could actually hear music was going to a sound system.
What we played was strictly underground, so you probably would never hear it really unless you come to a dance.
The people would follow the music, you know what I mean? So if they thought, yeah, this is, you know, if there's music about unity and love, people would like push that and try and bond together and think, yeah, man, this is how we should live. We're supposed to live nice. So music also helped communities.
For many Caribbeans, the radiogram was the heart of the household. Come the weekend, many Coventry households would invite friends and family to gather at each other's houses to socialise. In Coventry's Caribbean community, the preferred brand of radiogram was a Blue Spot, marketed by the German manufacturer Blaupunkt. The Blue Spot Gran, playing records from Jamaica, were a link to home as they endeavoured to adapt to a very different British working culture and life.
Came to England October 61. I had a job at a hospital and the first week's wages was £5. I went and bought a little gramophone and I find a record shop was selling Blue Beat records. So I keep buying my little records and come and play it on my little record player, you know.
Some of them never owned a radio before, so they got the chance of owning music. Why not?
We had a Blue Spot gram, which I think most West Indian people did at the time.
It's a drinks cabinet, and you pull the player out like that and got all the drinks in there. So it's entertainment, you know, set up where when you're entertaining people, you have a drink as well at the same time.
It was played on a Sunday afternoon, and we had a collection I recall, which was predominantly Otis Redding, Percy Sledge. But over time, as they became more available, we started adding to that, you know, quite a few reggae records.
It was like having gold in the house. It was like something you weren't really allowed to go near.
It was just in our front room, but we just weren't allowed to touch it.
In most black people's home, everyone, they've got that's a center of entertainment in the living room. You know, in a black person's living room, right? It's only a special occasion when you can go in there.
Not until visitors are there.
Yeah.
And then you're allowed to.
Only when they come to entertain, you know? And that's the time when they open the gram out and get the drink out and they entertain, you know?
The original Blue Spot. I don't know any black people that didn't have one of those.
And a gramophone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they all got stripped down. The nice gramophone that they've had for 20 years.
Gone, disappeared, man.
Disappeared.
Speakers disappeared out of it.
Yeah, I make sound system, why? With my radiogram.
Never owned one. I repaired quite a few of them. I never owned one. Didn't like them. Too bulky.
So in a front room of a house, you know, the West Indian front room was a very sacred space because it was the place where people put in all the things that said they existed in Britain. They were there in Britain and they were grounded in Britain. So to have at your centre of the front room the stereogram, it said a great deal about music culture and how central it was to the lives of migrants, immigrants from the Caribbean.
The gram was loud enough to cater for a house party, whereas the blues needed a sound system to drive it. Men like Count Myrie, Sir Dick, and Cecil and Arnold Coleman, known as the Two Brothers, would emerge as the first wave of sound systems, using whatever equipment they could find or make.
A radiogram. Yeah. And you have it in stick in your house, and you have a party tonight, and you a few of your friends them. So everybody turn up.
It really wasn't sound system.
No sound system.
They call it a sound.
I come with sound system.
It wasn't sound system. Right? They just used to play a bit of music in parties, house parties, everything like that.
We would call it a shubeen. Those was like a venue where you look forward to somewhere to go every week. It would be sound system playing there. And it's something carry on right until daylight.
Everybody say, I'm going to Coventry dance tonight, right? Then you have a little man named Two Brothers, that is Cecil. And say, I'm going to Cecil's party tonight.
Whilst many other sound systems played blues as a sideline to their main activities, a few specialists emerged like Sir Baggy, who found supporters among a younger generation of Coventry's Caribbean community.
The Two Brothers, they have a box, old box, I borrow it from them. And I put a 50-inch Goodman speaker, a Michael turntable, a Michael 50-watt amplifier. I just start from there.
So Baggy started the business of blues in Coventry. He was the original blues sound. And when you went to him, to his parties, they were like nothing else.
All the young ones would just leave home. Them is my supporter, them come and support me.
Back in the 70s, when most of the bigger men would probably tell us, yo, young boy, move from here. Go and find something to do. So Baggy used to treat us like his equal.
I don't play it myself. Charlie, Trevor, Staple, Clive, all of them just come and start. They have nowhere else to go.
Baggy for our kind of people then was an anchor man. If you went to a Baggy Blues and you was hungry or you had nowhere to go, Baggy is the man you had to see.
I didn't even know what a blues was. First time I ever going to a house. But it just reminded me of Jamaica still, you know what I mean? Because the vibes was there.
You walk in the blues and you don't see anyone, you feel the heat of the bodies in the room, but you can't see no one because it's pitch black in there.
And the men used to walk around and flick their lighters before they asked to dance so they could
see who you were.
Yeah.
Do you want to be dancing with a man or anything?
Yeah.
Couldn't recognize nobody, you couldn't see nobody's face. It was just dark and...
You feel your way through to where they're selling drink or curry goat and rice, and you get yourself a bottle of Guinness and a plate of curry goat and rice, and you just sit there, stand there for the night, and you chill, or you find a little girl and you hold her in the corner and you dance, you know? It was when guys and girls would dance, you know?
Everybody does enjoy themselves. No problem, no fighting, no nothing. Just music.
Blues dance was probably the original rave because we stayed up all night, you know? It was against the law, but we stayed up all night in the blues, and the police come and raid the blues, and it get closed and we move to the next road and set up and start again.
You know, police knocking at your door, could you please turn that music on? There's this racket. They don't understand it, you know?
The blues were all over the place. They were in Illfields, mainly, Stoke Aldermore, Wood End, and even in Henley Green.
Considering we didn't have mobile phones or be able to text each other, you know, just word of mouth.
Somebody would just empty their flat, and everybody would just go in there and have an all-night party.
They were really nice days.
Yeah, they were
nice
good days.
In the 50s and 60s, it was difficult to find any shops selling black music in Coventry. Sound men would have to travel and be resourceful to keep their own sources of records up to date at a closely guarded secret.
As soon as I started playing El Paso sound, I had the contact in Jamaica because I had just come over. So what I used to do is used to get the money from El Paso, and I used to write to Randy's record in Kingston, and he used to post me back the records.
But with me, I used to send to Jamaica, Randy's, and get all my records at Randy's.
El Paso used to have most of the music, the new music, straight from Jamaica more than anybody else.
We used to have Highland label records in the 60s, you know, Chris Blackwell. And I went to his studio in Kilburn, Cambridge Road, you know. And I used to just buy a big handful of record or a big box full of record from for about £2. And then they had another record studio in Wilson named Palmer Record.
Pete Waterman and them, they used to sell the odd vinyl reggae.
It was called Soul Hole. We sub-rented the shop from Virgin. Their shop was too big for what they did, and they didn't sell black music.
He had a record shop as well.
Pete Waterman at Birdcage.
There you go.
Upstairs.
You know, they're hippies downstairs playing all sorts of weird music, like Pink Floyd and us upstairs, turning up the reggae just to annoy the shit out of them. It was great fun.
On a Saturday, you'd have about 70, 80, going up to 100 sometimes, black kids in Pete Waterman's shop. A lot of them just hanging on, you know, a few of them buying records and that.
They knew if there was a record out in Jamaica, I'd have it within 5 days.
Pete Waterman, I have to respect him as well because he was quite into his reggae music, you know, and he gave reggae music a chance.
On the reggae side, obviously there was Bob Marley, which nobody was playing then, but because I had a friend at Dynamic Studios in Jamaica, you know, I was getting things like Junior Biles and Golden Locks and Irie Feeling when nobody knew what these records were.
Pete Waterman was like the DJ at Look-On, like every Saturday, and Monday night was like Pete was the DJ, you know?
You know, we would have 1,400 white kids on a Monday night in Coventry dancing to like Irie Feeling, which had only just come out in Jamaica the week before.
Pete Waterman moved from Coventry in the 70s to pursue a musical career in America. And whilst on holiday in Jamaica, he decided to drop in on Lee Scratch Perry to cut a record with newcomer Susan Cadogan.
And I turned up one day at Dynamic Studios and Lee Perry was there. I literally talked him into letting me make a record with him. I bought him $80 worth of ganja. The piano player was Gladstone Anderson, Peter Tosh, and we had this song that had been a hit for Millie Jackson in America called Hurt So Good. And they had a girl who wanted to do a demo called Susan Cadogan. They were smoking a lot of spliff, and for somebody who doesn't do drugs, I was as high as a bleeding kite. All I physically remember is watching Gladstone Anderson, who was so smashed out of his brains that Lee Perry had to go up behind him and stop his hands from playing the piano when they finished the tune. And literally, when I say this record took off, I mean this record took off.
There was Patel's on Stony Stanton Road. This was as a kid.
Small 2x2 little shop. It was like a front room. He had a little small, I can remember small 7 inches in there.
By the time I was sort of 17, we were going to Birmingham, Don Christie's, Summit Records. Coventry, when Alpha Records started, we'd shop there.
Yeah, I opened a record shop in 1983 in Fozel Road in Coventry, and it was called King Alpha Records. I was there for about 3 years and moved it down to Hillfields at Primrose Hill Street. The markup on records are, you know, very small, and it was hard work.
We're talking the 90s, and I had a little shop on the corner at Primrose Hill. So I used to rent a section there for £50 a week, and I've set up this little music thing and got me account with Jetstar, with Palmer, you know.
In the late 1960s, there were few venues for sound systems to play. The Railway Club in Holbrooks was one of the first venues where sound systems found a regular home.
1968, I met a friend of mine named Lloydie, and he said, I know a place, man, I know a place where I can take you and introduce you to the gaffer, you know. It named the Railway Hotel. But it was really the Indian and Commonwealth Social Club. And from the moment I entered in the club with it, it was a hit. The place was rampack, you know, and it all started from there, from the Railway Club. Black people were so glad to know they have somewhere where they can go. Especially the men, them would go there and play domino. But from the moment Spinner came in with his music now, it's like the women them would leave the men them and come and listen to Count Spinner playing music. It was a mixed audience, you know, black, white, people from everywhere in England start to hear about this railway. place.
London Road.
London Road.
Police Ballroom.
Transport Hall. Transport Hall and
Police
Police
Ballroom.
Ballroom.
The Matrix.
And the Matrix.
All those places now used to jump up with people because reggae music was playing there.
Count Spinner's time at the Railway Club would prove to be key in opening the way for new venues like the Police Ballroom and London Road Transport Hall, where other sound systems like Duke Brown, El Paso, Count C and the Four Winds would clash.
I've got the utmost respect for the guys like El Paso and people like that who are still around today, yeah? You know, when they came here in this country in their 50s and 60s, and it wasn't really accepted so much in this country, you know what I mean? But they're the sort of people that led the way so that people like MACKABEE and Crusader could be there in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and even people like myself as a radio DJ now, I think I got to thank them people for that, you know?
All the sounds that are going like now in Coventry, they've all like come from all them names from all the way back in the day.
Three main sound. Duke Brown, who is living in America now, and El Paso, and myself.
Well, you had my dad, Duke Brown, and I used to hear a lot of boom, 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 boom going on when I was a little kid. And then he used to have his little room in the house. I don't know, we used to be allowed to go in there. And then when I got a bit older, my dad let me in. When he was playing his music, I'm thinking, yeah, this is nice, this is nice. And then what he used to do, he used to travel me down to London with him. He'd be telling me, yeah, he's playing out tonight and this is the one that's gonna, you know, mash up the dance hall. He'd say he's gonna mash up the dance hall, do this tonight, and he'd take the mic and he's gonna sing, and yeah, so yeah, it's from when I was young, you know what I mean? He's inspired me a lot, my dad.
For sound systems, the act of balancing and tuning a record player with the right amplifiers and the best speaker cabinets was a secretive art. Sound systems employed their preferred builders to build customised and unique equipment that was not available to the general public.
Time we used to have a electronic chap by the name, an African name, Mr. Heddy.
There was an African guy in London who make El Paso amp.
He used to make some of the best amplifiers them and thing. And he built El Paso, this amplifier.
He built 2 amps. I think there was 500, 600 watts each.
I built a 600. I don't know if you know about what those days. I built 2 pieces of 306 in a start. And everybody was behind me. I never look back. All the young people were behind me. And so I started out. And my name El Paso.
There was a sound system called El Paso. And for a little while, before MACKABEE came along, I used to hang around with them, and they sort of like taught me the basics of what sound systems were.
Young make one lick. Okay, the man have a bigger sound than you, and you play the right music at the right time. At my days, the young people start to follow you. Entertain. You don't go there for play for yourself. If you hate me, and when I start to play music, you come and love me. And you say he's a lady, you want to date with me as well. Because the music catch you.
There's a sound called El Paso, which I knew him very well. So I spent a lot of time with him, and he used to explain to me where he get his amp from. Obviously back in those days they used valve amp, and he used to always use a valve called KT88 valve. Those days, those valves, when they played, you know about them, you could feel it. It was just different bass. And he used to always say, listen, right, there's a guy called in London called Eddie the African who used to build these stuff. So I thought, yeah, I need to know where to find him.
Nowadays we used to get valve amps.
Yeah.
Not transistorized, valve.
But they become so expensive, and by then the transistor amp was getting bigger and bigger in power.
Valve amps, for instance, were huge because, you know, the valves were huge. Transistor amps, which MOSFETs are, were small and compact.
When we start out first, my time, you didn't have technique turntable and things like that.
If you were around in the 50, 60 and early 70 up to about 79, you would use Garrod. There would be nothing else.
Deck-wise, you just wanted a strong deck. It wasn't a big deal about 2 decks and mixing in those days. That wasn't even really happening.
There was a great deal of artistry involved in the whole thing, from making the instruments, the boxes, and the kind of expertise that went into it, to the kind of distinction of labour, differentiation of labour and responsibility, from the people who move boxes to the selector to the DJing, or it's really quite a profound little organisation within itself.
We had people to come and help us lift the boxes. You know what I mean? We used to call him box boy. And then you used to have your engineer was the one that made sure for once everybody's wired what they've done, and you know, he's told them to, you do that, you do this. He'd go around and make sure everything's done, and then he'd turn on the sound. Yeah, for once he turned on the sound, the operator is the one that sets the quality. He'd come round now and he'd set all the amps up to his sound. And then you'd have the selector. The selector's the one that he'd actually take the music out and give it to the next person to put on. Then you had the entertainer who was on the mic to talk to the people and try and get the crowd going.
Growing up with that and observing it, you could see how important it was in terms of shaping the lives of young people. What did they do at the weekend? They were part of a sound system. What did they do midweek? They were building boxes or talking about the sound.
Get me second wages. I took it and I went to a timber shop and I bought some board.
They follow the same tradition from the Caribbean. Timber, you know, they get ordinary timber and they make these big boxes.
So after I finished make this record box now, the sound system box, a house of joy, a massive wardrobe.
100-watt speaker in them, there was a heavy speaker.
And the thing was this, we couldn't get it out of the room. It was too big.
Even in the Caribbean, it was good man's, nothing else.
We just appreciated the fact that this is something we had created and it produced sound of a loud volume.
It weren't like today's speakers, boxes, but at the time that's what it was.
A speaker cabinet have to be designed to suit that particular speaker that you're putting into it. You can't just make a box and put a speaker in it. It don't normally work.
Once a week we used to go down and we had to build it, put it together and have our own design so we know exactly how we wanted it.
Them days we had some really massive boxes, we used to call them wardrobes, where you had 4 boxes in them, quad boxes, where 4 speakers in them and stuff like that. They were too heavy, they were too big.
And they were like double bass boxes, and you could fit a whole person into one half of it, and then put another person in the other half of it. At that time, that was the only way we could screw in the speakers to hold them into the boxes.
Because back in those days, right, the stuff that we want, you could not go to a shop and buy it. It was all customised. And because it was specialised, it cost more money. Because, you know, you was telling somebody what you want and how you want it done and how you want it to sound. So therefore, you got to pay for that, you know.
They don't want you to know about what they have and who make it. They will avoid a question if you ask them, who made the amplifier? They would say, no. Because they don't want you to go and have the same as them or better than them.
When I first started out, you heard about some mysterious guy called Legs who made Quaker's amp or something, and you know, certain people knew how to get hold of this guy, and it was like, there's just one guy in the country, you know, a couple of guys who seemed to make equipment, and it was just hard to get hold of it. It was very, very exclusive.
You've got Jack Tubby's in London. Used to have Links in Birmingham. He's passed away now. And Barracuda.
Mr. Barracuda said, shake his hand and say thank you very much. Because if he build an amp for you, no matter what you do with it, it's not breaking down.
And now it's even more, you know, people are going into shops and just buying equipment out of the shop, you know, standard stuff. Because I think sound systems influenced, reggae sound system has influenced the PA market. So the PA market now is a lot more adequate to handle the sort of baseline what sound systems need. So it's a lot more readily available.
Musical war, you know what I mean, and personal war, it don't go on in sound system, it doesn't happen, yeah? Anytime you hear there's a sound system clash, all it is a musical war. It's all about your music, what music you push on the people. And at the end of the night, it's all love and respect.
I like competition in music. That's my joy, competition. I got to have the best, and I got to play against the best. So I used to love the competition with the big guys them.
You have one sound in one side of the room and the other on the other. So you have crowd. The crowd is the supporters of the song that really wins it. Sometimes it's not even the song that was the best. Just the supporter of the song. You just shout and you know you win it.
That's what sound system is all about. Clashing with other sounds. Your wits against another sound. Who's got the most dub plates? Who's got the most bass line?
And it was basically who sounded the clearest but the heaviest.
If when you're going to get involved in it seriously, you have to clash with other sound systems.
We play like 3 records each. And after you play the 3 records now, then we would say, The audience must vote. No, who played the best?
And there'll be no problem.
That is the clash.
No, there'll be no fight
Yeah.
and no argument.
You know what I mean? Everybody want to have the best song. But at the end of the day, it's the best song that wins.
We would cut music, we would always be in the studio. You know, I would fly to Jamaica. I'd be like Jammy's studio, or even King Tubby's studio, Waterhouse, cutting music. Where now, you don't have to do that. You can just play what you can get off the internet or off in the shop. Those days, you just couldn't do that. You couldn't get away with that. You know, I'd have to be voicing artists, whether it's Courtney Melody, Ninja Man or anyone. I'd have to be looking for them to voice them in the studio so we could actually play to the people.
Basically, it's when a sound system will get an artist to re-voice or sing a song. It could be the current artist's song, and get that personalised for the sound system.
If I'm going to play on a Saturday night, I go to London Saturday morning, and then I would go to Larry Akin, and Larry Akin would just make me a dub record at his studio straight away.
I've still got a whole heap of dub plates. I've got dub plates with people like Garnet Silk, that's not with us anymore. Dennis Brown, I've got plenty of Dennis Brown. He's not with us anymore. You know, so these things are treasured, you know what I mean? Got dub plates with any artists you can mention in Jamaica.
Back in them days, that was it. If you weren't playing special on dub plates and all that, you just weren't saying nothing. You were just another sound out there.
No, nobody else will have it. And that's how they used to use them in competitions, when they used to have sound clash.
A lot of clashes nowadays, you've got one big sound system, and if there's 4 sound systems, you all bring your music and you use the same sound system. I don't call that a clash. It's a joke.
We didn't have any location, any public space which we could call our own as young black people. And I recall that on one occasion, myself, Charlie Anderson, and about 4 or 5 other guys besieged Vernon Clements, who was the then community relations officer for Coventry, and demanded that we wanted somewhere for ourselves. They eventually gave us this disused building called Holyhead Road.
This place holds so much memory for me, and bad boy run-ins, and sure. We're talking about 1971, 2, 3. Ray King kind of gave us 2 little amplifiers and some money to buy the plywood, and that's how the sound started. We actually built it ourselves. Just cool it. Check this out. You don't know who's the rule down here. This is the main hall where Jabati's sound system was started.
But Jabati's rockers used to play there quite often back in the day, and he was quite big sound.
Jabati's sound system used to just string right up here in this corner. Yo, 1, 2, you're rigging and jigging is the king champion. Yo, Jabati's high power. Who say? And the crowd used to say, go there!
We used to go to the alley because that was like part of it was a youth club then.
We all used to go down here because there was not a lot for us to do them times.
And all the girls used to just line up down here to Delroy Wilson, to the song called I'm Still Waiting. And all the boys would be over there thinking, who am I going to dance with next?
I used to play the drums, you know what I mean? And some of us used to learn the guitars and stuff like that. And we used to end up making a little track and voicing it and MCing over it and stuff like that. It was a good little vibe.
Band used to rehearse in here. Destiny, Specials rehearsed down here. Jerry Dammons used to pass down here, Lynn Val and people like that. H used to pass down here, of the Selectors. All used to come in this room and helped us out.
Go in, play music, get on, jump on guitars, keyboards, and do a little bit of singing back in the day.
The 3 main people that played the sound was me, Neville and Charlie, but there was a lot more people involved. There was Leroy Deslanders, Jack Bird, Oscar Kane, Alcott Griffiths. Courtney Griffiths is now a big barrister in London. Carol Tucker, Kay Giles. There were so many people, Banachek, all the Stewart's brothers, Digo, Austin Grant. There were so many people all coming here because this is where it really happened. Sound City were a very good sound. They were like white guys and mixed race guys coming together to challenge us. And they used to battle with us at Sydney Stringer School and the weekends. And you had in Sound City, it was Malcolm, Glenn Ford, Coke Greenway, Dallas Greenway, and so on.
I had bought some bits from a sound system in Coventry called Sound City. I always wanted to build a sound system. And they packed in and I bought the amplifiers and stuff like that from them. and put it all together and built a sound system called King Alpha. And from there it just took off. King Alpha was basically culture music. We used to play at church halls, basically, St Barnabas. We used to play at St Peter's in Hillfields, packed every Friday. And that's going back in the early 70s. Where else? West Indian Club, obviously. We used to play in there a lot. Vine Street, we used to have that packed regular. In them days, we didn't even need a flyer. And the word went round, the place would be packed. You wouldn't need leaflets. We basically played with all the top sound systems in Britain. Probably 1990, 89, 90, changed up the sound system to Crusader sound. It was more like, we call it Arms House, you know, but it's rough. We're playing dub plates, you know, with a lot of bad words in it, and it was enjoyable at the time. But as I said before, I wish I hadn't changed the sound system up. I was moving with the times. And that's probably why Crusader is not as prolific as it was, as Alpha was, because a bit of violence crept in and all the rest of it.
The first time we ever played the sound system was 1981 at the Lanchester Polytechnic, 1981, against Atomic and a sound called Alpha Omega from London.
From London, yeah. Remember them well.
Well, Mike used to hire the lorry.
And we'd all jump in the back.
Anytime you go over a bump, you hear a holy man shouting from the back, "Drive careful, man, drive careful, remember we were in here."
Yeah. Those days, you know, we'd take a whole lorry load of guys with us.
Tango, KT, TDK, Observer,
Bushy
2 Sweet,
Professor Mikey, Daddy Sly, just to name
Mikey
a few.
Magic,
Gosh, B Barrington,
yeah.
the Bantan. The music that we listened to and the places that we went to were one and the same. Heavy dub. From down south, way up north, we played a lot of sound systems. Some good, some bad, but all enjoyable.
Marshall were responsible for a lot of changes that we made as well.
They come like and show us a different side of the market.
Marshall officially began on my 18th birthday party. That would be 1982. It was a party at my brother Deb's house. And that's how it started. Originally it was myself, Fitz Bartley, Ivor Hansen, Errol Morgan, Gilroy McGregor, Derek Crosdale, Tony Walker, Tommy McIntosh. He was a rock, he was always around. My cousin Rennis used to knock around with us as well. The news just got round about us and we got very popular very quick. What Marshall did that was different at the time was just the fact that our music policy encompassed R&B and calypso and lovers rock. The influence sound system and reggae music has had on what we call urban music is just unbelievable. If you think of things like drum and bass and jungle, a lot of them were direct samples of reggae tracks. The deep bass lines that we used in a lot of dub were borrowed and robbed and sampled. Even things like UK garage. You know, if you listen to the classic UK garage beat, that's quite a ska kind of feel. So reggae has influenced so much of the music. You know, hip hop style. You know, it's reggae MCs. Reggae musicians were the first rappers. So, you know, rap music owes quite a bit to Jamaica as well.
Many festivals, carnivals and other events still offer the opportunity for the people of Coventry to experience sound systems and the 18-inch speakers that came to shape the sound of 21st century urban music. The sound system will live on.
They're still enjoying it, you know. I've been a few gigs and, fantastic. Last rave they have done at the West Indian Club, I've been there, I couldn't believe it, man. It was so nice. I nearly danced my foot off.
I think it's just like the music never goes away.
I think we were, particularly in Coventry, at the forefront of the idea of a multicultural society.
When you come to Coventry, you see, the house party full of white and black.
Anywhere you have a gig, it's not just like black people alone go. It's black and white, it's a mixed crowd we have, and it's fantastic. And I just hope the young generation, they come up and keep it up that way.
It's just amazing that a little small island like Jamaica can influence the world.
As life goes on, you still listen to music and you find music that you love still and music that you used to love and still love. So music is love.
Big up all the sounds that represented back in the day.
No matter what the people say, this sound leads the way. It's the order of the day from your boss, DJ Code Spinner. Take it to the top from the very last stop.
I can remember the days gone by. Tears used to flow from my mama's eyes. My car was gone to another land. Ooh, I was too young to be my mama's man. So you better go, cause I know I'm alone. I tell you, honey, you better go, cause I'd be alone. She used to wash my clothes in the night. Oh, I'd hang them over the fireplace to dry. Then next morning I ran off to school, ooh, looking real cool and feeling alright. So you better go, but I'd rather be alone. I tell you, honey, you better go. I'd rather be alone. She used to wash my clothes in the night and hang them over the fireplace to dry. Then the next morning I ran on to school, ooh, looking real cool and feeling alright. I tell her, baby, you better go. I'd rather be alone. I tell her,